Friday, January 12th, 2018, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. I want to look at the markets this morning, look at gold and EOS in particularly, one of my favorite tokens. And I want to talk about empires and civilizations and refer to this book, Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time, by Professor Carroll Quigley of Georgetown University. He wrote this in the 60s. It was published in 1966. It's a really thick book. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've read an interesting part about empires and also the Russian Empire. And that could help us understand what's going on today, or not. But it will help clarify some of the things, in my opinion. So, what are the markets doing? It's around 840 London. Gold is continuing to do well. It looks like we're breaking out of the consolidation I've been speaking about in the last few days. We made a high at 1330.60 overnight. Right now we're at 1328.40, up 6. Silver is outperforming slightly, but still lagging. We haven't broken out of the consolidation. 1707, up 10. I could see yesterday that silver was not going to go above 17, like the banking cartel, the bullion banks. They just said silver won't go over 17 because I think because gold was doing so well, they had to keep silver down. The Dow is down 500 points. Oh no, I'm just joking. Actually, it's up 95 points. 25,668. 25,600. I have spoken about and done a video in the past about looking at a chart from 1920 and a logarithmic chart, and there's a trend line on the top of the chart that comes in around 28,000. So yeah, we could keep going. I think it's been over 360 trading days since we've had a 5% correction in the S&P, and that's the third highest period since 1929. And since 1929, I think the average number of trading days before you see a 5% correction is 92. So that's where we are in terms of the stock market. Dollar is weaker this morning. The pound is up almost a third of a percent at 135.70, up 34 pips. The euro is up 75 pips, 2/3 of a percent, breaking above 121. Dollar is steady against the yen, 111.20. Dollar is down quite a bit against the yuan, making lows here for the year at 646, down a third of a percent. Crude oil is down 0.5% at 663.34. EOS has done well overnight. We got up to 1228. I think that's a new high, and it's trading at 1188 right now. And the reason I like EOS, and I've been looking at it and participating since September, is that the CTO is Dan Larimer, and I've looked at the project, and I think it's a very interesting project. And the token distribution is unusual. They sold 200 million tokens in June last year, from June 26th to July 1st. And now the next 700 million are being sold in 23-hour periods until June 2018. So right now they're in the 204th period of 350 periods. So they're selling 2 million tokens every 23 hours. You can also, you go to their website to find out how you can participate. And if you don't know how to use an Ether wallet and do all those things, I don't recommend it. You need to learn how to do that. You can also buy it through exchanges, EOS. You can find where they trade by going on CoinMarketCap. Click on the EOS token, or go on to WorldCoin and it shows the exchanges it's trading. So it's unusual because the token distribution is ongoing, but you can still trade it on an exchange. At the end, though, of the token distribution, the token, which is an ERC20 based token right now, will be how can I say, it will be transferred into their own token. So you need to read very carefully and see how this works and where you need to leave your tokens so that come June, those tokens will become EOS tokens, not ERC, not based on ERC20. Right now, their market cap is 11.8 billion. It's easy to calculate because it's calculated off a billion tokens, and their price is 11.88. What is EOS? Well, EOS is, in my opinion, and this could change. Things are changing so quickly. Maybe in a few months' time, EOS won't be the big thing, but I'm betting that it will. And it's going to be a quicker version of Ethereum, Bitcoin, all put together. It's going to allow everything to be decentralized on the internet. You'll be able to put any application you want through the EOS blockchain, and it will be, it can have 1 to 2 million transactions a second. It will be a lot quicker than Ethereum, Bitcoin, and some other competitors. So I've been buying as much as I can. Some days I won't buy it. It depends, like the last few periods I have bought some tokens. That's what I keep trying to do. They've tried to distribute the distribution, so to speak, over a year. So to give people a chance to look at the project and not to get too speculative, to do it in like a month and get everyone in, and then it comes down and people lose interest. So it's quite an interesting one-year distribution or sale. All right, back to empires. And why do I want to talk about empires? Well, I saw a tweet by Rand Paul that came out overnight, and it says, the House of Representatives failed to protect Americans' Fourth Amendment rights and instead passed the FISA Amendments Reauthorization Act to further entrench growing surveillance and state powers. And why? What's that got to do with empire? Well, I was reading this book yesterday, parts of it, because it's such a big book, so you can go in different chapters. And I was looking at the Russian Empire. He talks about empires up until 1917, and in the beginning, he talks about how Russia evolved from the Slavic people in northeast Poland and the Northmen, or the Vikings, and how they came together in what is Russia today, and the Northmen dominated the Slavs, and that's what led to the and has led to the kind of Russian system of a very strong elite and how can I say, the people that they rule, the Slavs. And he explains how the Northmen copied the Byzantine culture of authoritarianism and orthodoxy, like Christian orthodoxy, and also where the state, the economy, society is altogether authoritarian, and how the state is in charge of the people. And it just shows how different the West is. And he wrote this in the 60s. He explains the West broke out, you had the fall of the Roman Empire, and then you had the West started around 700, he talks about, but in around 900, all the, how can I say, the fundamentals and the structure of the Roman Empire had collapsed. There was no state in the West, and the West found that you could have functioning civilization society without a big state and big government, that the individual could and society could keep things going. And that, he said, was the basic difference between is the basic difference between the West and let's say Eastern Orthodoxy culture. And but in my opinion, the West now is becoming more and more authoritarian, and this FISA amendment that passed just goes to show that. So what is the West? Is the West falling? According to Professor Carol Quigley, the West has been around and reinvented itself as a civilization a few times over, and that's why it has done so well. He talks about the cycles of civilization, which are the expansion part, the conflict part, and then the universal empire, and then the invasion where it ends. And apparently, according to him, the Western civilization, we've had expansions, we've had ages of conflict, but every time we've had ages of conflict, we've been able to expand again and not be invaded. And that's why, Western civilization since around 700 has been able to conquer a lot of other civilizations. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it's a fact. And right now, according to him, and I'll read here, we are in, back in 1965, when he was writing this, he was saying, that the Western civilization, the last conflict we had, age of conflict, was, let's say, World War I, World War II, and then the United States, he puts a question mark here. Is the United States a universal empire? Have the United States come from the periphery of the Western civilization? And periphery because United States and North America, Western civilization, the cradle is like Northern Italy, France, and England, and Western Germany. He asked the question, is the United States going to be a universal empire? Or is the West going to reinvent itself for the fourth time? Because all other empires, they weren't able to reinvent themselves and they were invaded. Looking back the last 50 years, I think the United States has become a universal empire. I think the verdict's still out. Are we going to be able to reinvent ourselves in the West? And by the West, I mean European civilization, like Western Europe, North America, South America, Australia, New Zealand. That's what I mean. Or is there going to be a new empire invading? Or it doesn't have to be physical invasion. It could be financial. Maybe it's the New World Order, which is a financial empire. Could it be that? Or could it be the Chinese? The Chinese have had an empire. The last empire they had, the Manchu Empire, according to Professor Carol Quigley. Well, the Chinese Empire to him, 400 AD to 1930. And then the Manchu was the Universal Empire. And then the Europeans invaded, basically. Is the Chinese Empire going to be reborn? I don't know. But it's all very interesting. So are we going to experience the fall of the West? I don't know. Is the U.S. a universal empire? It feels like it. And usually universal empires, they collapse. They don't reinvent themselves like the West has 3 times over. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, subscribe to my channel, and you can follow me also on Steemit and Twitter. And I'll talk to you later.